Yo, what is up guys, it was IzuKage here with part 3 of What If Naruto Ate the Tori no Mi. Sorry to keep you guys waiting for this long for the next installment for this series, but it is here and I do hope you guys do go on to enjoy it. Remember, Discord link and the link to some fire anime merch in the description, and without any further ado, let's just get right into the What If. So we last left off with Team 7 facing off against their opponent Zabuza, and Zabuza looked down onto the team and said, "Kakashi the copy ninja, I must say I didn't expect to see you all the way out here, but you're in my way, and I'll be taking the bridge builder." But Kakashi, he stepped in front of Tazuna and said, "I don't think so," and he revealed his Sharingan, and Sasuke seeing this, he was in awe but confused how a non-member of the Uchiha clan even had the Sharingan in the first place. But Kakashi said to his team to protect the bridge builder, and he said he'll take care of this. And Kakashi, he runs into battle and throws kunais at Zabuza, and he pulls his sword out of the tree and blocks all of them and lands in front of Kakashi. And he had a cocky smirk on his face, and he swiped at Kakashi with his blade, but he easily dodged it because with his Sharingan activated, Kakashi, he could just see it slowly moving, so it was a lot easier for him to dodge. Then Zabuza ran in and they began this massive taijutsu battle, and Naruto and the others are simply just watching, and Naruto, he's just watching for now since those were Kakashi's orders, but as soon as something starts to go south, he'll jump in. So back with Kakashi, he just kicked Zabuza away, but he landed on his feet and he looked up and said, "You underestimate me, Kakashi." And then Zabuza performed a bunch of hand signs that said, "Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu." And the mist around their battle became thicker and even harder to see through. But Kakashi, he made hand signs and created a pulse of energy using his chakra, pushing some of the mist away so it would just be easier for him to see. But when Kakashi looked, Zabuza, he was gone, and he began looking around and he turned back to his team and saw Zabuza appear right in front of Tazuna. And Naruto, seeing this, he was the first person to act and he swiped at Zabuza's legs, dropping him to the ground. And then Kakashi, he came up ready to kill and stab Zabuza with a kunai. But from the wound, water was coming out, and Kakashi and Naruto both said in their head, "Water clone." From behind Kakashi, Zabuza appeared and he used his sword and cut Kakashi clean in half. The entire team's eyes widened in shock, but then Kakashi, he dropped and turned into water. So it was a water clone this entire time, but when did he even create it? But Naruto, using this confusion, he ran up and kicked Zabuza in the stomach with his phoenix leg, sending him flying back into the forest, and the mist started to finally fade away. And Naruto, he ran over to Zabuza's body, who he thinks was knocked out from the attack. But as he was walking back over to his team with Zabuza's body like slumped over his shoulder, Kakashi, he came out and he looked at Zabuza and he shouted to Naruto to drop him right now, but he was too slow, and Zabuza, he had Naruto in a chokehold and held a kunai to his neck. And Zabuza said, "This kid's pretty strong, but it's time to give your genin a reality check, what being a ninja really is." And Zabuza reeled his kunai back to get some momentum, but before he could stab Naruto, Naruto's entire head burst into blue flames, causing Zabuza to let go in a panic because he thought he was gonna get burnt. But soon he realized it didn't even hurt at all. Actually, it felt more good than bad. But these flames started to completely cover Naruto's body, and Haku, watching this fight, doesn't know what this jutsu or maybe Kekkei Genkai is, but he's not going to let it get out of hand. Haku quickly took out some senbon and threw it at Zabuza, but it was already too late. Naruto grabbed Zabuza with his phoenix claw, so even though the senbon didn't hit Zabuza, like Kakashi's Sharingan, like he was able to see them go past. so he knew exactly where Haku was. So he walked over to Sasuke and whispered something in his ear, and Sasuke, he smirked, and he and Kakashi walked out into the open, and then they both did a bunch of hand signs and said, "Fire style, great fireball jutsu," and shot it towards the exact position the Senbon came from, and the fireball combined and made a pretty big explosion on impact due to just the tremendous force of the attack. So they ran over to see if they hit anyone, and that's when they saw Haku, and half of her mask was broken and some of her clothes was like charred up from the flames. So Haku, he started to limp away, and like he was trying to get away because he can't get caught, because if he does, he won't be able to help Zabuza in the future. But then steel wires started going around Haku, and then they tightened, trapping him to a tree. And Kakashi went in front of Haku and said, "So, you're Zabuza's pupil. You two will be coming back to the village with us." So Kakashi, he returned to his team with Haku tied up, and Kakashi, he looked at Haku and Zabuza and thought it would be pretty difficult to keep these two with them for the entire time in the Land of Waves. But Naruto, who was thinking along the same lines, grabbed Haku from Kakashi with his phoenix feet. And I should mention that Naruto's phoenix legs, they are massive. That's why he's able to just hold people down. So he grabs both Zabuza and Haku in his feet, and then he turned his arms into wings. And Kakashi said, "Where are you going?" And Naruto replied, "Go on without me. I'll bring these two back to the village and fly back." And they just watched Naruto fly at pretty fast speeds back to the village, and they were pretty amazed, like, wow, that's actually pretty useful. Everyone except Sasuke, of course, he was just folding his arms and said, it's not that useful. So the team, they continued to the Land of Waves, and as they were walking down the path, Sasuke, he sees Zabuza's blade and quickly went to grab it. And like he thought it would come in handy. Maybe this could give him one up with Naruto and he can finally become stronger. But as soon as he lifts up the sword, Sasuke knew this wasn't the best sword for him. It was too massive. But he still brought it along with him. It could prove useful later down the line. So the team, they arrive on the docks, and since Tazuna, he knew one of the fishermen there, he decided to give them a ride over to the Land of Waves. So meanwhile, they're all heading to the Land of Waves. Naruto, he arrives in the village in about 5 minutes, and he went straight to Ibiki, who had a building next to the Hokage's mansion where they would keep like prisoners or people they were going to interrogate. And Naruto just flew in and said, "Take care of these two," and took off. And Ibiki, he was pretty confused, but he's seen weirder stuff, so he's like, okay. He locks them up and puts some binding seals on them so they won't do anything like to try and break out. So Naruto, he begins flying back, and he arrives at the Land of Waves as soon as his team reaches the docks. And Tazuna says, "That was quick. You must all be pretty hungry. My daughter loves cooking, so she'll have something amazing ready for us." So they walk down the docks to Tazuna's house, and as soon as he opens the door, a wonderful smell fills their noses. It's just think of your favorite food, that's what they're smelling, and their mouth starts watering. It smells amazing. So they all gather around the dining table, and Tazuna's daughter starts sharing out them food and talking about how they saved her grandfather and saved her father, and how she's so grateful to all of them. But they were all preoccupied eating because it was really good. So while they were eating, out of the corner of his eye, Naruto saw this kid, so he like turned around to get a better look, but Inari just runs off, and Naruto, he just shrugs and goes back to eating, cause again, this food is amazing. So after they finished up, Tazuna, he shows the guests to some guest rooms that they have where they can stay for the time being. So during their entire stay, Team 7, they did basic chakra control training with Kakashi, and it would all go pretty similar to canon, with Sakura being by far the best at chakra control out of the three of them. But Sasuke and Naruto, they would be really competitive, going until like nighttime, trying to reach to the top of the tree. And even when they had to go back to Tazuna's house, Naruto and Sasuke, they was just like shovel down the food down their throats so they can get immediately back out and start their training once again, because neither of them wants the other to win. And soon enough, Naruto actually gets the win, beating Sasuke to the top of the tree. And he wasn't too happy about that, but he'll have different opportunities to show his dominance over Naruto. That's what he wants to believe, though. So on the day the bridge was scheduled to be fully completed, as Naruto and the rest of Team 7 are patrolling the bridge, making sure there's nothing out of the ordinary, they see the ship rolling up with mercenaries filling it. Like the entire deck of the ship is just filled with people. And as soon as it reaches the bridge, they all climb up, and Naruto and the rest of Team 7 are looking at this, and they look at each other knowing what they have to do. So Kakashi, he was the first to go up because he was just gonna finish this quickly and easily, just take care of all of them. But Sasuke wasn't going to be left behind this time, and both Kakashi and Sasuke defeated these mercenaries with literally almost zero effort, because they were all basically fodder, and Gato, he was just killed in the attack. So after this, the bridge was finally completed, and Tazuna decided to name it the Great Naruto Bridge, just like in canon. And the entire village sees Team 7 off, thanking them for saving them from Gato and all of his men terrorizing them on a daily basis. So Team 7, after a mission success, they head on their way to the Leaf Village. And as soon as they arrive, they head to Hiruzen to give him the mission details, and Kakashi told him about how it was definitely not a C-rank mission because Zabuza Momochi was hunting down Tazuna. So it was like a B, maybe even A rank mission. And Sasuke, he even gave Hiruzen Zabuza's sword as a keepsake of sorts. So after that, Team 7, they head out to the village to get some rest from their mission. But it wasn't long after, because the next day, Kakashi called them to the training grounds for some important information. And when they arrive, of course, Kakashi, never on time. So they're just there waiting for about an hour, and finally Kakashi arrives. And he starts to explain to them that they will be having the Chunin exams in 2 weeks. So that's the amount of time they have to train and prepare for these exams. And Kakashi, he asked them if they were interested at all, and all of them raised their hands instantly. They want to progress as ninjas, so it's not even a question to them. So Kakashi, he leaves his team there after giving them that announcement, and they were all not even paying attention to each other. Well, Sakura was obviously always trying to get Sasuke's attention, but Naruto and Sasuke, they just went their separate ways for the training for these 2 weeks. And Naruto's main goal is to try and make his flames more useful, try and increase the heat, because he would like to use it as something offensive other than just being able to heal. So Naruto, he would spend these 2 weeks trying to increase the heat, trying any way, maybe going to hot springs more to heat up his own body, trying anything, but nothing worked. And for the most part, all Naruto did was basic physical training. He would jog in the mornings, do some bodyweight training, simple stuff like that. While Sasuke, on the other hand, he had something to prove. He had the entire Uchiha library to learn, and he was learning fire style jutsus, just everything that was there. So soon enough, the Chunin exams come around, and Team 7 meet up before going to the academy. And while they were walking, let me switch perspectives to Konohamaru, and he's playing with his friends, and Konohamaru, he bumps into the Sand Ninja, and Kankuro, he picks up Konohamaru by the collar and said, "That hurt, brat." And Konohamaru, he's screaming, "Let me go, let me go!" And his friends are saying it as well. And Naruto and his teammates, they're walking up and seeing this, and Naruto says to Kankuro, "Let him go." And Kankuro says, "Huh, or what?" And at that moment, Naruto, he makes his turns his hands into wings and flies towards Kankuro, taking Konohamaru out of his arms, and he lands on the tree above him. And Kankuro, he was surprised and said, "What the hell was that?" And Kankuro, he took out his puppet and said, "Alright, that's it." But before the fight could escalate, from above Naruto, Gaara was there and he said, "Kankuro, stop it." And chills went down Kankuro's spine, and he said, I'm sorry, Gaara." And Kankuro and Temari, they were like, we didn't even want to fight either ways, so they started walking off. So Naruto, he brought Konohamaru back to his friends and told him to be more careful next time, and his team walks to the Chunin exams. So as soon as they arrive, the door is immediately blocked by a horde of Chunins, of Genins trying to get into the academy. But Naruto's team, they manage to squeeze through, and when they do, they see that the door that they were all being guided to was a genjutsu, and they all decided to go upstairs to where the actual door is. So they walk up, and this time Lee didn't challenge Sasuke to a fight because Neji actually talked him out of it, saying it was a bad idea to expose any of your abilities this early into the exams. So Team 7, they enter into the first stage, and as soon as they walk in, a bunch of genins from different villages are eyeing them down. And Naruto, he remained calm, but Sakura, she was freaking out and she was scared, trying to hide behind Sasuke. So they all took up a corner in the room, trying to stay as silent as possible. And while they were doing that, some students were talking to this genin with silver gray hair, and he was over there spinning cards, but Team 7, they didn't want to interact with anyone, so they remained to themselves until Ibiki appeared. And Ibiki, he told everyone to sit properly because they're gonna start. So he starts to explain the rules of the first stage, and he says, "Alright, settle down. We're gonna be doing the test. And this test, you'll have 10 questions, but the last question will be saved until after you finish the papers I'm about to hand out. Now, the most important rule is not to cheat. If you get caught cheating, your entire team will be disqualified. Am I clear?" And everyone said, "Yes, sir." So he starts passing out the papers, and Naruto, he skims through the paper when he gets it, and they aren't too hard, but any regular genin would not be able to answer them. And that's why Ibiki, he set up fake students, people with the answers fully answered, and the aim really is for students to cheat their way into getting these answers. That's what it's really testing. It's not testing intellect. But Naruto, he managed to answer 5 questions on his own, but by that time the time limit had run up, and Ibiki, he said, "Now time for the final question." And by this time, about 3 teams were kicked out. And Ibiki, he starts to explain the last question, and he says that if they get this wrong, they will be barred from taking the Chunin exams ever again. So most students, they just took the most logical way out to spend another year to just prepare and get ready, because if they get this wrong, they may never have this opportunity ever again. And 5 teams thought that this was the best idea. They walked out. That's 15 genins. So they walked out, and after Ibiki was like, "Okay, that's everyone. Now time for the final question." And everyone, they started sweating, worrying about if it's gonna be too hard. And then Ibiki said, "You pass." And they were all confused, like, "What do you mean I pass? We haven't even gotten the question yet." But he just said how it was all a logical deception, and there was actually no real 10th question. And they were mad but happy because they got to pass. And with that, Anko, she jumps through the window, sending glass shards flying everywhere. And she said, "Alright, maggots, everyone meet me over at the Forest of Death or else." So with that order, everyone went over to the Forest of Death, leaving Ibiki and Anko in the room. And Anko said, "Ibiki, what happened? Did you get soft or something? So many of them passed." And Ibiki just said, I'm surprised as you are. Also, can you go through the door next time? It's there for a reason. And she just said, nah, and jumps back through another window and heads to the forest of death. And Ibiki just sighs and just starts collecting all the papers and sweeping up the glass. And with Team 7 on to the next stage of the Chunin exams, this is a good place to leave it off. So that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Thank you guys for sticking around all the way to the end of the video. Also, do you think I should give Naruto a Haki or have him develop more jutsu? So Haki, jutsu, tell me what you think in the comments down below. And if you like the video, like, and if you like my content in general, consider subscribing. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.
And remember, like and subscribe. Or else.